If you would kindly speak a few words to all of us.
Matters. मुझे बहुत बोलना तो आता नहीं, थोड़ा बहुत सितार बजा लेता हूँ। मुझे आज बड़ी खुशी है और मैं बड़ा ऑनर्ड हूँ कि ये इनायत खान साहब के नाम पे मेरे शागिर्द, फ्रेंड्स एंड एडमायरर्स, इन सब ने मिलके ये चीज़ खोली। इन लोगों का, सब लोगों का बहुत दिनों से, ज़माने से ख्याल था, करीब करीब 20-25 साल से, कि इनायत खान साहब के नाम पे, इस घराने के नाम पे एक स्कूल, एक कॉलेज, एक सेंटर खोला जाए। मैं सोचता रहा कि मैं जो भी खिदमत कर सकता हूँ करूँ। मैं एक पुराने घराने का इंस्ट्रूमेंटलिस्ट हमारे देश में हूँ। मेरे ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर साहबदाब खान साहब के हाथ का साज सुरबहार बना हुआ, जो मेरे ग्रैंडफादर इमदाद खान साहब को दिया गया था, आज वो सुरबहार में लेके आप लोगों की खिदमत में बजाने वाला हूँ। मैंने बहुत जमाने से सुरबहार बजाना छोड़ दिया है। मेरा छोटा भाई इमरत खान बजाता है, तो अगर मैं कोई भूल चूक, कुछ टूटी फ्रूटी हो, कुछ भी, तो आप लोग माफ करेंगे और इसको लेवेंगे, और मैं श्रद्धांजलि करता हूँ। मैं पूर्वा बजाऊंगा।
Namaskar. On behalf of ICMC, me Ramprapanna Bhattacharya, I wish you all a very happy World Sitar Day. Today is 28th August, the birthday of Sitar Samrat Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab. Like every year since 2020, the period of COVID lockdown, we are here with you all to remember the legend of legends, the Ustad of Ustads, Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab, on his birthday, to enrich us with his music, with his philosophy, with his vision, with his memories, and the incidents and realization of the musicians, today's musicians and musicologists who are with us today. So, every year, we are having Hidayat Khan, Hidayat Bhaiya, who is younger son and disciple of Ustadji himself, who is now an integral part of ICMC, all the ICMC initiatives. And we are having other distinguished members, Sri Anjan Chatterjee, Srimati Roopa Panesar, Enayet Hossain Bhaiya, Tushar Dada, Sri Tushar bhatiya, and Hidayat Bhai will take this forward. So Bhaiya, if you could, introduce everyone and we can take this session forward.
Thank you, Ram Bhai, and again, welcome everyone. It's been a few years that we've been doing this, and it's very interesting how not just during these moments, but with everyone that's on the platform today, we, Tushar Bhai, myself, Enayet Bhai, Ram Bhai, the four of us at least talk pretty often, and Anjan and Roopa ji, we connect through music and through friends. But it is amazing how we all have such a personal affinity to this great man whose birthday we are celebrating today, who's given us so much, not just in terms of music, but in so many lessons of life. And one of the biggest lessons that I would say I have learned from Abba, and not just Abba, actually, I would say all the greats of that intellectual, emotional level is humility. And when you are at that level of thinking and what you've achieved and what you've given to the world, and yet you are so humble, and yet you are so quirky also, and yet you have a sense of humor, yet you have cultivated a relationship of multiple levels with with the people that interacted with him. He was friends with them. He was their mentors. He was strict, and he was disciplinary, and he was also the person who would tell you that, yeah, aaj chhod, maza kar le thoda sa, you know. So he was such a amazing human being that gave us so much in every little or big interaction, and I'm so looking forward to reconnecting with my brothers and my sister over here, and sharing our life experiences and how Abba impacted all of us, and with you, the audience, and I'm sure in the comments we hear such beautiful messages, and so thank you. I really want to thank the audience that has been with us through this journey and supported us, and given us so much of insight, and photographs, and recordings, and shared with us so many things, because when you're connected to a legend like this, and a human being that is so larger than life, not any one person cannot experience anything. It's an accumulative experience that we've all been a part of, and then we all sort of share with each other. And even now, it's almost 20 years, we still enrich our lives with all those experiences that we share, that each one of us has had. So again, very blessed to be here. And Rambhai, thank you as always for being the man that makes this happen. So thank you for that, and welcome everyone. We're a family, so we'll take it as a family. There'll be a little bit of a chaos. There'll be a little bit of nok jhok, jise kehte. There'll be a lot of history revealed, and I'm sure Abba is watching us and happy to see us, because what he wanted was a parivar, and we are a parivar. And so I think in that respect, we're fulfilling his vision. So welcome all of you all. Rambhai, I'm going to give it back to you, and how do we proceed?
Ji, I think we will come to Anjanda. Anjanda is one of the very senior sitar maestro, I should say, sitar guru from this lineage. He had a long association with Vidushi Kalyani Roy ji, who was one of the prime disciple of Abba, Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab. And not only that, he had the opportunity to interact with many great musicians, including Ustad ji. And I should say, recently he has published one of the book called in Bengali called Anubhav. So it is very deep, and for all the Bengali audience, we will suggest and advise to have this book, because he has kind of translated all the musical thoughts and musical ideas, his lessons, his experience in terms of spiritual realization and spiritual thinking. This is a wonderful book which he has written. I think a little glimpse of that we will get to know from his conversation on Ustad ji. There are many anecdotes which he has written in this book on Ustad ji and other great musicians as well. So Anjanda, today being here in memory of Abba, Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab, we would like to hear what you want to say.
Yeah, I sent you a Bhairavi to play, right?
Right.
The Singh Bhairavi. Yeah. That was the Singh Bhairavi I heard first in 1980 in Kalamandir. It was a night-long program, and he was the last artist, and he first announced that he was going to play Rag Vilayat Khani Kannada. There's a very interesting some events there. So public was a little bit surprised, because they thought that Darbari or Lalit around 3 o'clock in the morning, and Khan Sahab announced Vilayat Khani Kannada. Anyway, then he started the program, and when he was going forward with two nishads and Kamal Dhaibat, And the most interesting thing, after 20 or 25 minutes, when he touched the Oti Komal Gandhar or Rajkhani Kanara, a middle-aged, very well-behaved, well-dressed woman was sitting beside me. As soon as he touched Komal Gandhar, he started crying. He started crying, and after that Rajkhani Kanara alap, he switched over to Dev Gandhar. And when he was switching Dev Gandhar, I was asking her that I think you cried, but why? Then he said that whenever he touched the Komal Gandhar, something, a state of vacuum and nothingness absorbed me. I forgot all the worldly attention and relationship. That's a void. It's a kind of void thing. And it was so beautiful. I forgot myself. It was there for 2 or 3 seconds. And after that went off, I started crying. And after that, Sindh Bhairavi he played last 45 minutes. So when I was coming back to my home, I was thinking that who was possessed by whom? Was Bhairavi was possessed by Khansa or Khansa possessed Bhairavi? It was so enthralling or philosophical, so tuneful. And after 2 or 3 days, that Bhairavi was echoing in my ear also, buzzing in my ear. Then, after that, I met Subrata Rajodhuri, the noted sitar player. I asked that how this is possible. That Khansa concludes his program, and after conclusion, after finishing his program, all those what he played start buzzing in our ear for 2 or 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. How this is possible? I heard many ustads, but I never experienced such a thing. Then Subrata Rajodhuri told me, why don't you, we may go to Khansa, Vilayat Khansa, and we can ask him this question. So in 1995 or 94, Subrata Rajodhuri and me went to, that time I think Hidayat can tell that he was staying in the Southern Avenue Rageshwari building, close to Nazrul Mansur. So we went to, I went there with Subrata around 10 o'clock. And then we started talking. And Subrata asked that Anjan was asking a question, that how it is possible. So, and I also told him that another incident I told there's another program, he was playing Rag Bhagesri, and he was in Antara part in the Alap, he was approaching Sa, but then coming back, approaching Sa, then coming back. So a person was sitting, an old person, then he said in Bengali, Dada, ar to parchi na ar kotokhon. That is my elder brother, I cannot take it. How long I have to wait? Please touch sir, Dada sata laga. So I told, and he was really laughing. He said that this is all the grace of Allah. And then he said, Subrata Rajodhuri, he was telling, he was asking Khansa, so what is the thing that how you create so magical effect? So he was saying some fantastic things. You have to do the practice, riyaz or soch. When you are in the home, you are alone, you have to do riyaz. And when you go to the stage, you have to you have to forget your riwaz, you have to switch over on your thoughts.
Wow.
Because when you go there, then rag will start working on you.
Chalo.
When you work on the rag, you are a student. But when rag starts working on you, you are a musician. And then Subrata Rajyoti then told that is there no need of riwaz? Well, yes, riwaz you have to do. Why? Because when raga starts working on you, you have to do whatever your mind, that raga, that situation demands. You have to just execute on your hand, on your sitar. So your brain, your mind, your emotions, your rag, everything should come into a point. That's why the riwaz is very much needed. Yeah.
वाह दादा क्या बात है. It's such
और एक बात
जी.
लास्ट एक बात बोलना चाहते हैं आप. तो एक यहाँ एक नोटेड जर्नलिस्ट थे. वो he was a friend of Khan sir, like friend, same age group. His name was Arun Bakshi. He was very close to Bade Ghulam Ali Khan sahab also. So he once asked Khan sir, how do you practice 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours? Yeah, practice is far away. First thing, you have to sit there and you have to stick your mind to a sitar for 1 hour, 2 hours. This is simply impossible not a very possible thing, not a very easy thing for the person. So he said that when I practice, I did a sadhana, and हम वो साधना में सिद्धि हो गया. वो साधना क्या है तो उन्होंने पूछा, तो बोले कि वो हम बजाते हैं, व्हेन आई प्ले, हमारा हाथ और फिंगर को हम छोड़ देते हैं. हमारा हाथ और फिंगर के ऊपर हम कोई ध्यान ही नहीं देते हैं. हम कान में आंख लगा देते हैं और सब सुर को हम देखते हैं. और जब तुम कान में आंख लगा के सब सुर देखोगे तो तुम्हारा स्वर जो है ना वो सुर बन जाएगा. स्वर में प्राण प्रतिष्ठा हो जाएंगे, वो सुर बन जाएंगे. और बुद्धि में जो है वो म्यूजिक चलेगा. जब तक until and unless you can visualize, you can listen to your own music, you cannot do the proper riwaz more than 1 hour at a stretch. And whenever you listen, you start listening and enjoying your own music, और तब तो तुम 5 घंटा 6 घंटा भी रिवाज कर सकते हो. और ये बात है कि ये करने से क्या होता है कि वो रिवाज करने के समय जो माइंड जो घूमता है,
रियाज से भी प्यार करो, म्यूजिक से मोहब्बत करो, रियाज से प्यार करो. It's not a work, it's not an exercise, right. It's a love affair. क्या बात है अंजना, थैंक यू सो मच. मुझे एक आप जो गंधार की बात कर रहे थे उससे एक वाकया याद आता है. एक्चुअली एक वाकया नहीं, मेनी टाइम्स वी हैव एक्सपीरियंस दिस. घर पे अब आप बैठे हुए रियाज कर रहे हैं, बिहाग बजा रहे हैं या कोई भी राग बजा रहे हैं, नी सा का, वो ऐसे एक उस फ्रेज पे काफी देर तक काम कर रहे हैं और हम सुन रहे हैं, तो एवरी टाइम देयर इज परफेक्शन इन इट. तो फाइनली जाके अब्बा से पूछा, अब्बा व्हाट इज, मतलब आई कांट सी द डिफरेंस इन द परफेक्शन. when we pay attention we can see there's a different weightage, there's a different stroking, there's a length, all of that. but कह रहे यार मैं असर ढूंढ रहा हूँ, मैं असर ढूंढ रहा हूँ कि वो असर, सुर का जो वो असर है जो इंसान को एकदम दिल में उनके ना एक चीख निकल आए उनकी, या एक इमोशन जो इफेक्ट होता है, वो असर ढूंढ रहा हूँ. एंड so many times, Dada, I can't tell you that I've been so blessed to be a part of that, that you would experience this, and then you would actually feel, whether you were a 5-year-old child or you're a 50-year-old man, or wherever in between you are in your experience and everything, you would actually feel that asar. जब वो जिस मिजाज से जब वो गंधार लगाते थे या मध्यम लगाते थे, वो जो पूरी एक अब्बा हमेशा हम लोग को बोलते थे स्टूडेंट्स के, जब भी कोई चीज बजाओ, फ्रेज बजाओ या कोई भी पीस बजाओ या रियाज करो जिसका, उसका एक कहानी होनी चाहिए. There's a reason why you're playing. There's a story that you're telling. And that story needs to, it's not just a bunch of notes put together beautifully or whichever. There's a story. And in that story, sometimes there is love, sometimes there is humor, sometimes there is anger, sometimes there is virtuosity. And there are all these technical abilities that you have to tell that story. So a great musician is a great storyteller. And in Abba's music, just through the medium of notes and melody and in his sitar, no words, we could all connect with that story, and that was just an incredible thing. So Dada, thank you so much. I mean, there's, again, it's so much fun to share these stories and get insight and see. Wow.
I think we can play the Sindhu Bhairavi at the end, because once Bhairavi is there, and then it is a kind of conclusion, and that Sindhu Bhairavi, after that nothing can happen. That is a kind of literally concluding Sindhu Bhairavi. So we will play that at the end, Dada, with your permission.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we play another piece of music and then maybe ask Tushar Bhai or Enayet Bhai or Roopa Di to also,
Ji. I will play the piece which Tushar Da requested, the Rang Bhavan Ka Darbari Shayad with Zakir Ji, isn't it? Yeah, so I will play that piece, music piece for you. Shraddha, Dada. So for everyone who is here, I just wanted to introduce Tushar Dada. Many of you might be already knowing he's a sitarist and a famous music director in Bollywood, and also he is a trained sitar player. He learned from Pandit Pulindev Varmanji, who was direct disciple of Ustad Enayet Khan Sahab, and also Pandit D.T. Joshi ji. And he's, in a way, he's my elder Guru Bhai. We both have learned from Pandit Arvind Padik ji. And not only that, he is having, background of learning vocal music also in the tradition of Pandit Sri Krishna Ratan Jankar ji. He has direct disciple of Pandit Dinkar Kaikini ji and KG Ginde ji as well. So Tushar Dada, to start with, if you could share your memories of this particular concert, which you attended as a teenager in Rang Bhavan in Mumbai.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए. हिंदी में बात करूँ तो चलेगा ना?
जी बिल्कुल.
तो यहाँ
पे we are having international audience, so many of them request us
I can speak in English as well.
Speak English, क्योंकि हिंदी का कहने से जो एक फ्लेवर आता है that we cannot have in English. So whenever you feel like switching to Hindi, so it is absolutely fine. क्योंकि नहीं तो वो रस नहीं आएगा. हाँ. मजा नहीं आएगा.
दो बातें जो हमने दोपहर में डिस्कस की. एक तो कि खान साहब की म्यूजिक का जो असर जो हमारे पे होता रहा है, हुआ था, हुआ है, होता रहेगा. और दूसरी बात कि हमारे जो पर्सनल इंटरेक्शंस उनसे हुए, उनसे हमें क्या क्या सीखने को मिला या क्या क्या हमारे अनुभव हुए. I will come to the first point, as this you have played this Darbari piece on my request. This was the very first concert that I saw Khan Sahab play. उनका दर्शन किया मैं 15-16 साल का रहूँगा. उसके पहले जो पंचम से पीलू का EP है, वो मेरे पास 12-13 साल की उम्र में आया था और मैं बिल्कुल पागल हो गया था वो सुन के कि बस सितार ऐसा होना चाहिए. ये सितार मुझे बहुत पसंद था सुनना. फिल्मी गानों में मोहे पनघट पे खास करके पिया सोजिया में समाए, ये जो फिल्में गाने थे जिसमें सितार बहुत अच्छा बजता था. मुझे तब ये पता नहीं था कि बहुत सारे गानों में खुद खान साहब ने ही बजाया है. जैसे मेरी याद में तुम ना सुबहाना या मदन मोहन जी का वो तू प्यार करे या ठुकराए गज़ल है लता जी की गा, खान साहब का सितार है उसमें. मैं बहुत सुना करता था वो. मुझे तब पता नहीं था, उतनी छोटी उम्र में कहाँ पता होता है. So I was not aware that Vilayat Khan Sahab has played for these recordings. Some of the songs he may have even composed. I was not knowing that. But after hearing his Pancham Sipilu at the age of 13, 12 or 13, I was dead sure that this was a sitar that was attracting me. I liked, and I was waiting when I could hear this great person. And then there was this concert announced. So my brother and I went. We convinced our whole family to come with us. About 21 of us went. All our elders, हमारे घर में सब गाना बजाना बहुत सुनते थे, सीखे हुए लोग थे. हमने उनको इंसिस्ट करके लेके गए. पूरा रंग भवन भरा हुआ था. रंग भवन जो लोग, those who know रंग भवन, it's an open air auditorium with full moon on top. About 1,000 people, maybe 2,000. I don't know the capacity exact, but it was fully packed. And there was moon on the top, and Khan Sahab arrives on stage wearing a white angarkha kurta with Zakir Bhai looking like, I don't have words. He was 25, 26. So both of them, probably the most good-looking men I have seen in my life after Rabindranath Tagore. इतना खूबसूरत लोग मैंने नहीं देखे. ये दोनों बैठे. Khan Sahab may have been about 50, 55, I don't know. Zakir Bhai was looking as he does even now. और Khan Sahab ने वो स्टेज पे बैठे, मैं देख रहा हूँ. Me and my brother, my elder brother, हम लोग सुन रहे. My sister was there, parents, everybody was there. और Khan Sahab ने ऐसे अनाउंस किया अपनी बेज आवाज में, मैं आप लोगों के सामने दरबारी बजाऊंगा. छंग करके जो उन्होंने चिकारी बजाई, ओहो, और वो जोड़ा, मतलब लगता था कि आवाज सितार में से आई, उसके जोड़े में से आवाज आई, या खरज लरज होता उसमें से आवाज आती, ऐसी आवाज उनकी. और फिर ये कॉन्सर्ट.
तुषार भाई, sorry to interrupt you, but you are such an amazing storyteller. और आपने जैसी चिकारी का बोला ना, वैसे किसी के यहाँ पे घंटी भी बजी. तो देखिए आपकी स्टोरी में इतना पावर है कि it's even giving the background score.
It is what happened. I'm only describing. You asked me, tell us what happened. So I'm just telling you what happened and what happened to me personally, and along with that, what happened to the entire audience. जब उन्होंने वो स्पीकर साउंड सिस्टम इतना बढ़िया था, जब उन्होंने वो छेड़ा और वो कोमल धेवत के आंदोलन और जो कोमल गंधार, पूरा ऑडियंस 2,000-3,000 लोगों का आहा ऐसे होता था. मतलब पूरी ऑडियंस पागल हो गई थी. उनके एक एक स्ट्रोक पे लोग दीवाने हो रहे थे. और मैंने पहले बहुत म्यूजिक सुना हुआ था, थोड़ा बहुत मतलब समझता था, मैं ज्यादा नहीं समझता था. लेकिन उस वक्त मुझे ऐसा लगा कि दरबारी राग इनके लिए ही मियां तानसेन ने बनाया होगा. ऐसा मुझे उस वक्त महसूस हुआ. और खान साहब ने मतलब ऐसा मेस्मराइज किया. अबाउट 40-45 मिनट्स का वो आलाप रहा होगा. उसमें जोड़ के बाद मद जोड़, उसके बाद जो उन्होंने झमझमा और जो गमक जो का जो काम किया, वो मतलब पागल हो गया मैं कि ये कोई फरिश्ता आया है आसमान से दिखाने के लिए कि जन्नत कैसी होती है, कि स्वर्ग में हम गंधर्व होते हैं, वो कैसे होते हैं, म्यूजिक वहां पे कैसा बजता होगा. ये विलायत खान साहब. उसके बाद जो हुआ वो बता रहा हूँ. खान साहब ने दरबारी का आलाप किया, तालियों की ऐसी गड़गड़ाहट, कुछ बोल नहीं सकता हूं मैं. उसके बाद खान साहब ने सुहा सुगरई की गत शुरू की, जो उनकी एलपी पीलू के पीछे की रिकॉर्ड है, जो उनकी शुरुआत की दूसरी एलपी है. पहला एलपी है वो शायद तिलकामोद वाला है, पहला दूसरा आहिर भैरव, तिलकामोद और पीलू, ये पहले 3 रिकॉर्ड्स हैं. तो पीलू का जो रिकॉर्ड के पीछे की साइड पे है, तो वो गत उन्होंने शुरू की.
मध्यलय की द्रुत की,
ये वाला जो समय. और जाकिर भाई को उन्होंने खुला छोड़ा. I cannot tell you what Zakir Bhai was doing at that time and what Vilayat Khan साहब का जो चेहरा था, वो इतने खुश थे, वो इतने खुश नजर आ रहे थे. और एक बात मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ आप सबको. मैंने वो बात उसी वक्त नोटिस की थी कि जब जाकिर भाई बजा रहे थे और ये लहरा रख रहे थे, तो उनका लहरा इतना मुलायम और वो इतनी छोटी एक वेरिएशंस किए जा रहे थे लहरों में. मतलब दिल चाहता था कि लहरा ही सुनते जाएं. वो जिस तरह से रख रहे मुखड़ा, और जाकिर भाई ने भी इतना, मतलब क्या बोलूं मैं, जाकिर भाई लगता था कि अगर मतलब क्या था वो तबले पे जो उन्होंने काम किया, और उन्होंने जाकिर भाई को काफी 4-5 बार उनको बजाने के लिए ये कहा। और वो एक बात कहता हूँ, मतलब खां साहब को देखता रहा मैं, जब खां साहब ने गत शुरू की, और मैं उसके बाद ताउम्र, आई वॉज सॉरी, आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी अगेन, फॉर माई एंटायर लाइफ आई यूज्ड टू वेट कि खां साहब कब गत शुरू करते हैं, और गत का मुखड़ा when would he start the gut, and after playing his first line, when would he tell the tabla player, tabla nawaz to take over. वो अपनी एक भवें का इशारा ऐसे करते थे. I would be so thrilled just waiting for Vilayat Khan Sahab to just give that permission to the tabla player, and just looking at his face, because I have never seen anything so good looking, anyone so handsome, and anyone so, he was music personified. I mean, for me to say the least, he was himself sitar. Sitar was also there. He himself was the sitar. And when Zakir Bhai was on stage with him, it was such a double joy. And when he played this gat, and he did that sign to Zakir Bhai a number of times, and Zakir Bhai was and is like, I think he's a wonder of the world. Uske baad, after that, after the Suhasugrai, he played Shahana. एक ताल की गत, उमड़ घुमड़ घन कर आई कारी बदरिया. He said that this is, Zakir Bhai, he announced that Zakir Bhai is, ये हमारे इतना अच्छा बजा रहे हैं that I feel like playing all the Kannada ke prakar for you. That he announced a little later for Bahar. After Shahana, he played Bahar. And I have never before or after that heard Vilayat Khan Sahab play ek taal. And the sum is on Hidayat. ये gat hai. And he sang it. And that was the first time I heard him sing. And I wish he had sung more and more. And then he played, after that, he played Bahar. So he was playing Kannada prakars, and with Bahar he concluded with the Jhala, and then there was interval, and then there was Bhairavi. And that was my first concert of Vilayat Khan Sahab.
But what a lovely transition of rags also, na, Tushar bhai?
From all the Kannadas, he announced, he says that I'm going to play from Darbari to Suhasugrai to Shahana to Bahar.
So what a beautiful transition of rags to play one after another. Kya baat hai?
Hidayat, he was, I don't know, he was musicality personified, if I can use these words. एक होता है music, एक होता है musicality, musicianship. और उनका, after that, coming back to the first experience, this was my first experience. I was floating, and as Anjan said, I was in a state of euphoria for God knows how many weeks. It was like, this is it. This is what I want to learn. This is what music is all about. And
did we lose Tushar bhai?
Looks like there is some connection interruption.
But
the flow was amazing. Yeah.
उनके साथ जब भी जिक्र होता है, तुषार भाई के साथ पुरानी बातें होती हैं. He's such a beautiful storyteller. He really puts you in that moment of कि जिस तरीके से अब्बा ने क्या अंगरखा पहना था, क्या खुशबू थी वहाँ की, या मौसम क्या था. You feel a part of that. When Tushar bhai comes back, I really want him to tell a story of Bombay में मैं बहुत ही छोटा था, मुझे बहुत कम याद है, but there was a recording that Abba had done for HMV EMI. उसमें recording and it was in the winter months, or I'm not going to tell any much more about it because
I,
I'm going to wait
I,
for
I
him to
think
tell the story.
wait, well, yeah, that will be the
Yeah.
second episode from him for us. So if we can play a little bit of Rag Yaman, which Rupaji requested us to play, and for
Ji.
me also it is a life changer because that is the first cassette. That time we used to have cassette, which my father gifted. Actually, he's initiated sitar. I think I told this before, but in somewhere after I was initiated with sitar, I listened to a duet recording of Pandit Ravi Shankar ji and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab in some Durga Puja festival where previously all this classical music used to be played, the recordings. That time in that young age, I didn't understand anything about musicality, musical wisdom, and all these things. But the Ali Akbar Khan Sahab's sarod tonality, it attracted my child, that mind of when I was a child. I told, why, বাবা আমি সরোদ শিখবো তুমি সেতার কেন দিয়েছো আমাকে I want to learn sarod because the sarod sounds attracts me much more. Then my father told, okay, you have, okay, wait, something is waiting for you. Then he took me to a shop, and there was this Yaman recording with Manikrao Popatkarji. Full, that was my first exposure to Ustadji's Khan Sahab's music, Abba's music. And then after listening to that sound attracted me again back to the sitar. So this is my little history of this was again life changer for me. So I will play that recording which Rupaji requested us to play. Then we'll come to Rupaji. Maybe we'll come to Tushar and his anecdotes on the recordings in the second round. Yeah. This is the most difficult part, to stop this kind of recordings in the middle. Roopa ji, so this is the Yaman, and we would like to hear from you how it has changed your life and how it has impacted your musical journey, and overall, not only this recording but all his music, his lessons. You got multiple opportunities to be with him in UK, be on stage playing Tanpura with him. So if you could share your experiences with our audience today.
Namaskar, Ram Bhai, Hidayat Bhai, Enayet Bhai, Anjan ji, Tushar ji. It's difficult to follow Tushar ji's story. And Ramji, you had told us to select a recording to speak about. So it was a difficult choice, and I know everybody was choosing some absolute gems. I chose this Rag Yaman because I think when I started learning at the age of 7, firstly, if I explain my connection with Ustad ji is actually through my guru, Ustad Ranbir Singh ji, who is a shagird of Ustad ji. And through that, I had lots of exposure to Ustad ji's music, and obviously through my Guruji, the teachings. And at the age of 7, I remember listening to this recording. I had actually recorded this from Guruji's LP. So in that time, we had the audio cassettes, as you said, Rambai, and, I used to just, as a 7-year-old, listen to this music obsessively, and I guess being in the UK, and not even visiting India at that time, I hadn't visited India until a lot later in my life. I was completely obsessed and mesmerized by this music. And I think at every stage as we grow, and probably everybody is finding this, that as we're growing older, the way that we connect to Ustad ji's music, in fact, deepens, or something else happens every time you hear it. Even just now listening to something in that Vilambit Gat, there was something else that was, I heard something new today, which, I never heard before. And I think this recording became, if I can say, like the Bible of Rag Yaman for me. It's just such a holy presentation. His whole sound is just absolutely the epitome of purity. And I think this is why, it just has resonated so deeply. We could say that about all of his recordings, probably. But this particular recording of Rag Yaman, and I think in the beginning, the unfolding, note by note unfolding, of the Rag as well, it's just such a masterclass to sit and listen to that. And, it's difficult not to be influenced, completely influenced by the sound. And every time, you know, you want to play something, you know, it's impossible for sitar players not to try and attempt those phrases, but it will never be the same. That's for sure. It would never be the same as him, but it's so much in our soul that it has been absolutely life-changing to hear this music.
Right. Actually, Dharamveer Uncle Ji, he is watching us live. So pranam, Uncle Ji, for being with us as audience here today. And I think Roopa Ji, when my father used to teach me, he used to tell the same thing as you have said. Listen to this particular recording, and every time you listen, you will get something new out of it. So that's why my father used to call it as evergreen green Yaman. So this, as you have said, this is the Bible for us, and it defines how to play sitar.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think, you know, almost every technique of sitar that we would wish to try and learn, to try and teach others, everything seems to be present in this recording. I mean, obviously there's much more. You had an infinite base, but you could learn pretty much everything from this recording. I mean, that was my personal feeling anyway. And I think the whole absolute sound.
I know you got an opportunity. Yeah, please.
Yeah, the absolute sound, you know, Tusharji was talking about, you know, just the opening chikari. And Rambhai, I felt you react at the same time. Just the minute you hear that opening chikari, that's it. You're done. It's absolutely divine. Yes, you mentioned about some of my experiences here in the UK. So I was very, very fortunate that I got to meet Ustadji through my Guruji. You know, they used to come and stay in Leicester. And I remember Hidayat Bhai was there too, and, you know, very young. At that time, I think the first time I met them, I was maybe about 15 years old. So, you know, meeting what was like our God was an absolutely unbelievable experience, which even now is crazy. I couldn't actually say anything in front of them. I think I was just too awestruck. You know, it was just a mesmerizing experience. And I think my memories of him then were that he was just this incredibly charismatic, humble person, you know, even as Hidayat Bhai mentioned, that even though he was such a God, you know, to, you know, even his interactions with me, I'm a nobody, you know, was just that he would make everybody feel, you know, acknowledged and special. Whoever was in the room, he would speak with so much charisma. And, you know, we had an amazing experience to be able to play in front of them too. And the way he sat and listened to us, you know, with absolute attention and humility, you know, there was so much to learn from that. And I think I'm forever, ever, you know, grateful for that experience. And it feels crazy to think that this happened in this lifetime. Now it's beginning to feel like some other era, you know. And it's such an honor to be here and to speak to Hidayat Bhai as well, and to everybody.
Such beautiful memories from Leicester times at Dharamveerji's house and moments spent there. It's really it is a lifetime ago, but it feels when we talk about it, it feels like yesterday because the memories are so amazing. And as you were saying, Abba really truly believed that as also Anjan was saying earlier, that riyaz karo but bhool jao, you know, and when you're on stage, so he really believed that every exchange that he had impacted, like every exchange that he had with anyone impacted his performance on stage, because that's how his day developed, that's how his so he acknowledged and even if you were the most insignificant person in the room who got him water or chai, to him he was the most significant person, because how that person gave him chai and how he interacted with him would really eventually explain how his concert went in some way or the other. So yeah, it was amazing how in his presence, I think Abba had two sides that most of us sort of interact with, is the legend of him being this extremely angry, extremely scary, extremely difficult person. And then you getting to know him and you see, yeah, he was very difficult, and he was a very his presence was that, and he had a lot of magnetism and charisma and everything, but he could make you so comfortable that within a very short interaction, you forgot that you were dealing with Ustad Vilayat Khan. And then you saw him playing music and you're like, oh my God, this is Ustad Vilayat Khan. And then you again had this reset of exchange, because I mean, he would be like, Acha, he was very interested in people's lives. He was very interested in what they do. And again, one thing about was amazing, like his constant focus in his life was music, and everything else was how he could enrich that music. So the reason why he interacted with everyone was also for a sort of a selfish reason, because he wanted to understand what connects with you, what makes you tick. So if he would understand your life of a banker or an IT person or a doctor or an artist or whatever, and see what goes through them, if he could connect with them on a personal level, he could connect with them on a musical level. So that became him, or that was always him, I don't know. But he always connected with everyone, and everyone thus connected with him.
I will share one experience. The first time he asked me to visit his place in Hastings, Calcutta Hastings, Sitar building. The first time I entered that hall, I touched his feet. I was shivering. Okay, seeing him in front, and then I was about to sit on the floor because he was sitting on the sofa. Hidayat bhai, you might be remembering, there was a curtain in the back, the window, big window in the back, and there were two sofas side by side, and he used to sit in the right side there was a telephone, and some memento. So he was sitting there, and I touched his feet, and I was about to sit on the floor, and then he stopped me. He told, you sit on the sofa beside where he was sitting. I told, Abba, sofa boso. So, and I was hesitant to sit on the sofa beside him. At the same time, he ordered me to sit. So I was truly embarrassed, and I was sitting like this in the sofa beside, and he understood. And later, I saw many other people, and I could not correlate this. I mean, I understood this is a rare quality, where many people would like to be like, okay, I am Guruji, you sit, okay, niche baito, is type ka. But Ustad Vilayat Khan, see Ustad Vilayat Khan, what kind of quality this man used to possess.
And I will tell you, I'm sure, I don't know what he was planning on saying, but again, he has also shared a relationship with Abba of the two different relationships, where we've had many experiences where we got yelled at by him in many different ways. Not going to share those, but at the same time, so we was very scared. He had an aura that made us very scared also. But then when he would sit down, when Abbas doing Riaz, and he would call Enayet to play the tabla with him, and he would sit down. Within a few minutes of being there, you can physically see the expressions of this young, like we were hardly in our late teens, early teens when I'm talking about that. You could see that a young boy playing tabla with Ustad Vilayat Khan, who has achieved everything at that point in his life, is very comfortable. He's not feeling the pressure. He did not feel the like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And that opened up, whoever was with him, opened him up to learn more, because it wasn't a closed environment. So I'm sure I will have lots of we've had some very fun experiences, interesting experiences. But he was very interesting in more ways than one.
Yes, absolutely. And that way you'll probably be able to tell us more. But at that age, when I was just 15, and I was completely observing what Ustadji was doing, saying, speaking, everything, and his relationship with you was so sweet. He used to call you Bebu, which and that's why I asked you before. I said, shall we call you Bebu today? And at one point he was calling you babe, and being English speaking, I thought, is he calling him babe? I couldn't understand. It was short for Bebu, and it was just so sweet. I think maybe if you could share some of your experiences, because obviously you saw Ustadji in the later sort of section of his life as well. And
Right.
how would you say what sort of change did you see in him getting older, and as your father?
I think so. Again, obviously, I can't speak to the time before me because I didn't experience that. But from Dharamveerji, Shujat Bhai, and that my senior set, and then furthermore senior students of Abbas like Arvind Chacha and I think he evolved a lot as a person, as a musician. He constantly started evolving. So all of our experiences have been very different.
Mm.
And very contradictory, actually. At my time, I think at our time, I would say, Abba came to be a person who really wanted to impart his knowledge, and he was a very eager teacher, and he was I think that was his main thing, that he really had so much wisdom in him, and he wanted to impart that. And as a child, as a kid, even in your teens or even in my 20s, the kind of wisdom that he used to impart in his training sessions, in his talim sessions, was extremely overwhelming for me, because I just could not absorb it. I mean, even now, I don't think I would be able to absorb, and especially because he was so eager, and he felt the sense of time limited on his part, and as he was growing older, he felt that he had so much more to achieve, and if he had a little bit more time, or if his physical abilities were a little bit better, if his health was a little bit better, he could do so much more with music. So there was a constant desire to sort of grow, and so his talim sessions were difficult, to say the least, But what he would say was very interesting, and has really shaped me, and now that I think about it, or sort of analyze all those sessions, it's really changing my view on music very dramatically. And what he would say is that I'm not teaching you. And what he meant by you is the conscious mind. He said, I'm not talking to your conscious mind, because your conscious mind is not even capable of understanding A, B, C of what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking to you is your subconscious mind. He said, let it seep in. Over the years, it will come out. Over the years, it will, and I think that's what his music is. As you said, that you heard Yaman so many times, and again, you heard something new. It's because his music, whether he also himself realized it early on in his life, or it took him many years to realize that he's not communicating from and to the conscious mind. But he sort of, every time we listen to his music, or every time we reapproach the talim that he had, or some resemblance or some memory of something, it has so many layers of depth that we sort of keep on, receiving from it. Other than that, I think he was very interested in sort of enjoying the moment, enjoying life, hanging out with a lot of young people, going out for lunches, drives, and watching movies. I mean, all of the above. And I think the environment in the house was very not. It wasn't stifling at all. It was very sort of open, engaging. मस्ती चल रही है, मजाक चल रहा है, गाना बजाना चल रहा है. But again, Vilayat Khan Sahab was not somebody that you can really box him in any point and say, oh yeah, he's a fun guy or he's a very serious guy or something. You never know what side of him you were going to meet at any given
What kind of
point.
movies did he want to watch? If he wanted to watch movies, what
See,
were the
that's
kind
what
of
I
movies
mean.
that he liked?
He would watch westerns like Clint Eastwood to Govinda,
Oh,
to Akhiyon Se Goli Mare, to he was all over the map. Really, it depend on his mood, and sometimes I think, and not just goes for Abba. I think a lot of great people and musicians, especially artists, they're so in the moment that whatever they say in that moment is their truth, right? So there's a lot of contradiction in what they say also. I mean, there'd be a time that I'd be watching Govinda movie or something stupid like that, and he'd come and say, "Kya bakwas kar rahe ho, time waste kar rahe ho life mein," or ye sab, you reprimand me and walk away. And 2 days later, he's sitting and watching the exact same thing. So it was difficult. You never knew what side of him that you were going to sort of come across. But as a son, I would definitely say, as on edge as I was on many times with him because of the multitude of relationships that we shared. But the few times in my life that I really wanted advice, and however difficult a conversation it may have been with my father, especially given our generational gap and everything, right? I was able to have that, and I was able to get the right advice. And very, whether it was very worldly, whether it was very spiritual or emotional or whatever it was very, and he was there. So I don't know. I mean, I can't. There's one man that you cannot box in any category, is Ustad Vilayat Khan.
I think that is the reason his music was so unpredictable,
Yes.
and it has never been the same. Thousands of Bhairavi you listen, each Bhairavi is different. Thousands of Puriya you listen, each are different. Thousands of Darbaris you listen, each are different. I think because of his personality and his, this side of his personality, his music has been unpredictable and not the same all the time. It has changed, and it has
You
changed
know,
us. Sharda is saying something.
no,
I think
just
we need
I'm
to
just
have
going to
Anjanda and Enayet, whatever you want to tell, you please pitch in. We will come to you again. But
my sister Brinda made this observation because at the time, right in the beginning after the Darbari concert, all I wanted to and we wanted to hear as a family and cousins and brothers was just Vilayat Khan Sahib's music. And we got this, borrowed this record from my aunt, the Pilu LP, which has Soha Sugarai on the other side.
with Samta Prasadji.
Yes. So
Yes.
that LP, the that got okay. Now before that, there is this nice, beautiful alap about 10 minutes. And my sister Brinda, who's right now logged in, she's watching this. When I would hear that Pilu alap, she made this observation. Now she was not studying classical music at that time. She said, "You know what? He is just taking a walk in the garden of Pilu, and he's stopping wherever he wants. He's admiring this flower and he's moving ahead. He's taking a walk. Look at him, a leisurely walk." I said, "Yes, that's what it is." Because that whole silsila, he would transcend the even the thought of a pakka rag silsila, like he would play, let's say, Bhairav or Darbari. That silsila and that development, he transcended that in Pilu, in that particular album. And he's doing whatever he wants. He's changing the lay and coming back to a slow lay, and he's like, okay, fine, I've seen this, now I want to see that. I just want to tell him it's like that. And that part, what you just mentioned, that he did whatever he wanted, he was unpredictable. He was absolutely unpredictable. Absolutely. Even in his guts, even in his I mean, that was his personality, I guess, and that's what reflected in his music. Too much.
Now we will come to Enayet Bhaiya. So And after he speaks, then we will play the music where he has accompanied Abba. I think Hidayat Bhaiya, you can start conversation with him, because you both have spent most of the common time together with Abba.
Oh,
I think
so
this
much
conversation
growing
will
up
be
here.
interesting if you both start talking.
So I'm
Okay,
just gonna let yes.
I can't say much about his music or sitar because I'm not qualified for that. But I can give you a lot of personal experience as a tabla player. And the funny thing is that the Yemen you guys chose, I started learning early, but I wasn't really interested in tabla too much. I played, but my parents would have a hard time making me play, practice. But that Yemen, that's the one that I started listening to when I was like 10 years old or 11 years old or something like that. And I would listen to it every night. And even then, I would think in my mind, like, good God, I hope I get to play with this guy one day. So, I don't know how I thought that, but I did. And so that's kind of like got me really interested in music itself, in tabla. And so a few years later, I mean, we met Hidayat and Hasab and everything. They were here on a tour. My father's like, we need to go see them. So we met them and became pretty close. Even his sister was there at that time, Zilla. And so for some reason, we all became very close, and they would come to our house and because they lived here I think you guys lived here for like 2 months or 3 months or something like that in DC, which is close to me. So I would go there, and at first, the first meeting I remember I was extremely scared. But after that, I kind of forgot who he was until I forgot. Because I just, what happens? I just used to see him every day at that time. And I was like extremely young. I mean, so we used to hang out all the time, doing stupid things. But a couple of years, like two or 3 years later, when they came back, I had seen Kasab at Lincoln Center with I think it was Zakir actually. And so we went all the way there. And then the next day, Kasab and Hidayat both came to my house in Baltimore, just chilling and everything. And he had a private concert the following week do you remember Hidayat? It was Mahendra Dak's house. Remember her? Crazy lady, but it was her house. She was extremely rich, a huge house. So my father, I think Kasab was supposed to play with Zakir, then Zakir dipped out. And then I think my father was going to play with him, but then my father told him, why don't you play with my son? And I think he was spending so much time with us. So I think he heard me playing around with Hidayat and messing around. It was a hilarious thing. I don't want to get into that because it's a long conversation. How he actually understood that, I guess how he gauged out how I would play. But he said, "Okay, you're gonna play with me." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds good." I was like, "Oh my God, man, this is amazing! I'm gonna take this definitely. I'll be awesome on this." By that time, I had a little confidence, because I had already played with Ghulam Mustafa and I had played with a couple of other musicians. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. So that night, and Ram, you know this, because I wrote an article right after his death about this experience, specific experience. And so he's like, okay, are you ready? He asked me, like in the morning, I still remember, it's like, I hope you're ready for me. I'm like, yeah. So we went to the Mahendra Dak's house. We were practicing, and so he was playing Sanj Sarawali, and that Vilambit Gut, and he played Sanj Sarawali in the first half and Yemeni in the second half, and that Vilambit Gut was amazing. That was one of my favorite guts, and so he's like, okay, let's practice. So I was like, okay, so I started practicing with him. And it wasn't good because in the practice, I forgot everything. Like, all right, let me play. And he, I have to say, I don't know why, but he would give me crazy amount of chances to play on stage always. And he would be, he's like, when you want to play, just look at me and I'll let you play. I'm like, okay. So he would, I could not hit a single thing. I couldn't hit an 8-beat tag, even a 16-beat. I just could not hit any tag. Put the sitar down. He looked at me and he's like, I'm going to tell you something you should remember for the rest of your life. I'm like, okay, what? Which is? He's like, you're playing with Ustad Vilayat. Yep. Yeah, I know that. And he's like, but I'm taking you and I'm performing with you on stage. So for today, I want you to think there's no difference between my level and your level. It's the exact same. If you're scared of me, your music is going nowhere. If you're intimidated by me, you're not going to be able to play. So please just think that you're my equal. I'm like, well, that works. So I went on stage, I played. I happened to do well, I think. I didn't miss a thing, so it was a good thing. But off stage, he came up and he's like, Beka, you played great. But what I told you backstage, remember what I said? I'm like, yeah. He's like, don't think that off of stage. So when you're with a musician, think that you're their level. But when you get off stage, don't think that you're that level. Remember that you're not that level. So it was I mean, he, as a tabla player's perspective, I think he's one of the most easiest musicians to play with if you're not intimidated by him. And he somehow he brought his level to the tabla player's level. And he would be very cognizant. Another thing, Rambhai, which I always tell Hidayat when we're playing together, is one unique thing is he also used to tell me every concert, he's like, Beta, jab main bajaunga, tum theek hai. Play that you're supporting the music. When you're going to be playing, I will support you. And he used to do that. If you listen to his gut, whenever he's playing, the gut itself, and a tabla player is accompanying, his volume will come 50% down. So the showcase is on the tabla player itself. So I mean, not many musicians do that. I actually tell her that all the time, man, do that. And I mean, it's very intimidating to play with him. But if you put all that to the side, yeah, if you're cocky, he's gonna get you. He's gonna really put you in your place.
Sangat karna is such an important thing, and also I guess about expected a certain something from his accompanist, and if he got that, and he would give that back in return also. Creating that foundation, creating that foundation where you feel comfortable as sitar players also. I'm sure all of us experience the same, that sometimes you sit with certain tabla players and you don't have to think about the lay because you feel the rhythm. आप कहीं से भी आमद लो, कहीं से भी तिहाई लो, वो एकदम आ जाती है क्योंकि वो फील होता है. और कभी कभी किसी के साथ बैठते हैं, बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, सोचना पड़ता है, देखना पड़ता है लय को कि क्या हो रहा है, कहाँ हो रहा है, यू नो. एंड जो एम्बेलिशमेंट्स आती हैं बीच में, दे डोंट कम्युनिकेट विद द म्यूजिक. जैसा तुषार भाई आप बोल रहे थे कि जाकिर भाई बजा रहे हैं तो लहरा इस तरीके से आ रहा है और वो छोटी छोटी हरकतें ऐसी हो रही हैं बीच में कि इट्स एडिंग सो मच टू द जाकिर भाई's म्यूजिक एंड वाइस वर्सा, राइट. कि जब तबला प्लेयर बजा रहे हैं और संगत कर रहे हैं तो किस जगह पे वो वजन देते हैं या कहाँ पे वो तरीके लाते हैं या किस जो करते हैं, तो उसमें एक म्यूजिकलिटी एनहांस होए. एक बहुत जरूरी चीज. बहुत सारे लोग अब्बा को सोचते हैं कि वो अब्बा तबला प्लेयर्स को चांस नहीं देते थे बजाने का. I think one thing that he didn't have in his life, and we didn't have any room for it in life, was mediocrity. So if you were going to say something, pardon my expression, stupid, he really didn't have room for that. Especially when it came to music. If you were going to speak, think about what you say. He respected that a lot, even from his juniors or everyone.
Yeah, another concert I played with him in Cleveland. That was like a huge concert. It was a fundraising event for a Hindu temple there, and I still remember that concert. I mean, I'm notorious for one thing. When I run out of things, I'll shake my head. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna play anymore. I did that to Hidayat. Like when I'm like blank in my mind when I'm playing, then when the musician looks at me, I'm like, in that concert, Concept was like giving me crazy chances. I was like, all right, play. Like I played like 5 different times, and then the 6th time he looked over, he's like, but I'm like, it's like no.
If you allow me, I will just play a small clip where he talks about Sangat a little bit, and yeah, on the same topic. Maybe that after that we can come back to Anjan, because our audience have some question for him. We'll come to him. Let me share my screen.
मैं तो जब करता हूँ तो ऐसे, और जिंदगी भर मैंने यही किया कि जब मैंने देखा कि अरे बाप रे बाप ये तो बिल्कुल तना फुना आ रहा है, तो मैंने गति ऐसी शुरू करके मुंह फेर के तुम संगतकार हो मेरे, मैं नहीं हूँ संगतकार तुम्हारा। जब तुम सोलो तबला बजाओगे तब मैं लहरा बजाऊंगा, बहुत नरम बजाऊंगा कि तुम्हारी आवाज पूरी सब लोगों के कान पे पहुंच जाए। मगर कंसेप्शन ऑफ संगत खत्म हो गया। कंसेप्शन में लेतरे की धित्तरी की, अब तो ये कंसेप्शन आ गया है, और इसमें लाउड और ऐसा धर किया जाए और कूले पीट जाए कि लोग बीच में तालियां बजाएं, ये कंसेप्शन अब म्यूजिक का आ गया है। विद्याधर गुणियन विद्याधर, अब विद्याधर गुणियों सो कहा अरिये, गुण चर्चा की लड़ाई लड़िए, गुण चर्चा की लड़ाई लड़िए, शोर मचाने वाली लड़ाई मत लड़िए।
Oh, this is ridiculous. Advertisements or something. So he summarizes it here कि खून चर्चा की लड़ाई लड़िए और शोर मचाने वाली लड़ाई मत लड़िए। Anjanda, we are having a question for you. I think Devabruto Mukhopadhyay, he has requested you, Anjanda, whenever you get opportunity to explain the Bihari composition which Ustadji used in the film Jalsa Ghar. And in that movie, in the role of the Surbahar player, our friend Santur player Dishari Chakraborty has mentioned Abba's role, Ustadji's role as the music composer, and he has mentioned about the Jalsa Ghar movie where Devabrutoda has mentioned the role of the Surbahar player who plays in front of Chabi Mustache. It was White Thasa.
So I don't have my sitar now. So how can I play that?
No, not playing. Not play. Just if you could just explain a little bit. Explain as the Bihari. Explain the Bihari composition which he used as the background score of Jalsa Ghar.
Bihari composition. So it is there also. So what I am to explain?
Okay, we will take this offline. Maybe we can connect with him separately. Not a problem. So Anjanda, do you want to share any other interaction or any other experience or feeling? Everyone is looking forward to hear from you. Yeah.
I just want to share about my guru, Vidushi Kalyani Rai. She has been learning from concert from 1945. So हम कुछ बातें उनके बोलते हैं। तो एक दिन जब पहले गए, उन्होंने उधर पहुंची, तो फर्स्ट डे खान साहब gave her bandish in Miyakitori. the first line of the sthai is only 4 notes. Like sa ga da 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 da. This is the first line. Ga re sa ga re ni ga re sa ga re sa ga re ga pa ma pa ga ga re sa ga re ni ga re sa ga re ga. This is the bandi. And after some time, जब पुरिया का तालीम चल रहे थे तो पुरिया में तो सब सपाट तान बहुत प्रैक्टिस किया 1949 में ये बात है। तो एक दिन गए हमारी गुरु तो कल्याणी जी तो खान साहब ने बोले कि आज पुरिया का तान हम घुमाएंगे। सपाट तान तो चलते ही हैं लेकिन अगर तान ना घुमाओ तो राग अनफोल्डिंग नहीं होगा, ठीक से राग का प्रकाश नहीं होगा। तो उन्होंने क्या किया, एक पलटा दिया पुरिया में। देखिए रेसानी धानी रेगा रे नी रे गामा नी धामा धासा नी धानी रेगा रे नी रेसानी रे नी धामा गा। The 16 beats. रेसानी धानी रेगा रे नी रे गामा नी धामा धासा नी धानी रेगा रे नी रेसानी रे नी धामा गा रेसानी धानी रेगा। This is the part. Now he explained that all the jatis on the tabla, like Tisra Jati, Mishra Jati, Khanda Jati, this tan contains all the jatis, like Mishra Jati, Resani, Dhani, Rega, Re, Niregama, ये 7 का हो गया, Nidhama 3 का हो गया, Dasa Nidhani, Rega, Re, Nire, रेसा नी धानी रेगा रे नीरे गामा नी धामा धासा नी धानी रेगा रे नीरे सानी रेनी धामागा 7 का हो गया। तो उन्होंने बोल ये this is the thing, if you minutely dissect Khan Sahib's the tan, you can realize, you can visualize all the jatis जो हम ब्लांटली दिखाते हैं, ताके ताके नीरे नीरे गामा गामा ऐसा करते हैं और ताके दुन्नी तक ये सब करते हैं ना, वो सब तान का जाति सब तान में एकदम कंसील्ड है।
Anjanda, in this relation, I remember the Hangspadhani Gat which he composed with this big band's tune, right? Ga sa re pa re ga sa, which is set on ektal. Okay, but the antara, which our Guruji Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee taught us, and he mentioned that the same thing. First, it jhaptal ka chand aata hai, uske baad rupak ka chand aata hai. In that way, so ga re sa re ni pa sa ni re ga ga ba ba re sa ni sa ga re sa. In this way, the sthai goes. Now the antara, the manja pa sa ni re sa ni pa ni ga pa ni sa ga ga ba ba re sa ni sa ga ga ba ba re sa ga re sa re ni pa sa ni re. Gaga baba re sa ni sa. Now the antara pa gaga pa ni sa sa re ni sa 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 pa gaga pa ni sa sa re ni sa ga re ga re sa ni re sa. This is 5. Then 7 comes pa gaga pa ni re ni pa gaga pa ni re ni sa pa ni gaga baba re sa ni sa. In that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Then Mishra comes. First Khanda comes, then Mishra comes. In that this way,
वही बात है, जितने जाति हैं जो कुछ है सब तान में छुपे हुए हैं। तान को अगर डिसेक्ट करो तो सब जाति जो है सब कुछ मिल जाएंगे उस तान में। ऐसे ऐसे तान वो करते थे जी। नहीं तो वो बोलते थे कि राग नहीं बढ़ेंगे। ये बात
जब हम लोग को तालीम होती थी तो एटलीस्ट हमारे ज़माने में आई एम श्योर अगेन एज आई सेड मेरे सीनियर्स उनके सीनियर्स अलग ज़माना था, पर हम लोग की जब तालीम होती थी तो अब्बा आके जैसे दादा ने पलटा सुनाया वैसे एक पलटा अब्बा हम लोग को बिठाते थे और कहते थे अब इसका रियाज करो। हम लोग फिर जब तक वो वापस नहीं आ जाए कमरे में, that could be 10 minutes, that could be 20 minutes, that could be 2 hours. He would come back And most of the times he would tell us to now compose the next part of that particular palta. And in a group, when we were sitting about 5, 6, 7 of us, there'd be sometimes not just sitar players in there, sometimes there'd be some vocalists or other instrumentalists, sometimes there'd be slightly more senior, slightly junior people. So it used to be you had to think about multiple things. If you compose something because you were senior, which a junior student, your junior brother, sister couldn't sort of follow it, then it didn't work. Because creativity has to come with certain constraints, and the constraints are of that moment, or it's that rag, or it's whatever it is. So he used to constantly talk about creativity, and so then we would end up making the next stage of the palta, and then we would all be practicing that. Then we'd make the next stage of the palta. That somebody else would make the next stage of the palta, and we'd all be practicing that. And in that, we were learning creativity, constraint, discipline, and also the direction, how it would move. He would sit there and have conversations with us about that. If it went in the right direction, why it was in the right direction. If it didn't go in the right direction, why it wasn't in the right direction. Sometimes you're not within the rag, but sometimes you are within the rag, but you're not within the aesthetic mood of it. Sometimes you're making something so complicated and so difficult that you're not able to do it as a repetitive exercise. So even that doesn't work in this particular format. So there was always an exchange of idea, and I think we always learned from him with the ability to ask questions. Sometimes he would tell us that we're not ready to ask that or to get into that conversation. It'll happen in time. Sometimes he would give us that answer or have a conversation with us. But it was always, there was a dialogue that was always there between the ustad and the student. And for him, at least in our time, all the lekari and everything really, really mattered on the melodic structure, and again, the picture of what you're trying to express and the story of what you're trying to express. So if in that story, because for him, I mean, I've heard him say this many times to me, or gamak, or akhand jati, or mishra jati, or chhoot, or sapat, or whatever it is. These are tools to express and tell a story. So use them as tools, as techniques, to build a house, build a palace, build a castle, build a tall building, or build a park. Whatever you're trying to build, you use those tools in order to make that happen. But not to use them, not to build it around something, which, like, be true to the park, be true to what you're doing. So I've actually remember being a part. Kalyanidhi was much older and not keeping very well and not in a good place. And she had come to Abba, and she was kind of missing the days that Purana Kaleen nahi hota tha, jaise Purana time spent hota tha. So Abba told her to bring the sitar and came. And she was there, and as we grow older, the importance of these moments become more and more in our lives. And from suddenly being very, reminiscing these moments to everything, to being very nervous, she was, to the point where she held the sitar, but her hands were shaking. And Abba so quickly realized that, and he realized that she's a seasoned artist. She's such an incredible artist and everything. It's not that. It is the importance of the moment that is getting to her, the emotion and reconnecting, and it was just beautiful to see the two of them again interact, and how he felt that as her ustad, he felt that he has to first calm her down, make her enjoy the experience, and how then he spoke about older times and music and things, and then later on he started giving her talim, and the way she was receiving, and then she was talking about it, was just wonderful to see how that moment from love to nervousness to love again, change, and I was really blessed to be there at that point. Just अंजना की बात से मुझे वो याद आई.
Wonderful. Now we would like to listen to the recording experience at HMB from Tushar.
Can I say one last thing?
Please.
Also, Khansa was extremely happy if you would ask him about certain aspects of music. He would love to talk about what he's doing and how he thinks. I'll give you an example. One time, we were doing a concert, and for 2 months he had played Desh. We were practicing at his house. I would go there once a week, and he would practice Desh. So at that time, I used to talk to Anjan a lot. So I one of the times I would hear that he would sparsely use Komal Gandhar, right? So I mean, he would do it very sparsely in the Alap and Gut. So one time I called up Anjanda and I'm like, "Yeah, Anjanda, what's going on here? I mean, does Desh use Komal Gandhar at all?" He's like, "Why don't you go and ask him?" And I'm like, "Well, how can I ask Ustad Vilayat what's going on with the rag? I mean, it is what it is." He's like, "No, you should go ask him." Then I asked my father also. He's like, "Beta, go ask him. You know him very well. Go ask him." And I was very scared, but because by that time, later in my life, and I figured out who Vilayat was, and so I did ask him. I mean, just one day when he was doing that, and everything. After that, when we were eating lunch, I was like, "Abba, why are you? I hope you don't mind, but I need to know why the Komal Gandhar in Desh." And he explained the entire thing. He's like, "Beta, this is the reason. It used to be done in, many, decades ago and everything. Older musicians would do this, but it's how you use that Komal Gandhar and how you place it and how often you use it. You can't do it all the time." He gave me a huge explanation on it. In fact, I have an interview. I actually recorded that, and but he was very receptive always. And always willing to explain if you had a question about the music. He would not be insulted or this or that. "Why are you asking me? I know what I'm doing." He was extremely approachable in that way, that if you ask him a question, he would give you an answer, and he would make you understand what the thought process was.
Yeah, in this aspect, probably Anjanda might remember there was an article which was written by Subroto Jetu, Pandit Subroto Rajodhuri, on Desh, the Desh matters in Bengali, and he mentioned that in Bilaskhani Todi, long back, while playing Bilaskhani Todi, he used a Karn swar of Tivra Madhyam, and there was a lot of criticism, a lot of questions from the critics and audience. But later he explained in Lucknow Gharana, certain ustads in certain style, the Karn swar of Tivra Madhyam used to be used in past, and he was kind of reviving that old tradition in that particular recital. I think we have Tushar is here.
Maybe if I may say something to that. Again, this is not reflective of Abba's thoughts or anyone else's. My personal thoughts. I feel that a lot of times artists, especially great artists, right? Because they're so in the moment, and that they do things, they take liberties with the rag. But that's just, they took that liberty in that moment, and they did that, and it's not that they keep on doing it, but sometimes they just do that in that moment, and it's beautiful. It's the right expression. It becomes right. Ustad Vilayat sahab ne Khamaj mein Komal Gandhar ka use kiya or something. सही मोमेंट पे एक सही बात हो गई. But that doesn't mean that it's the script. I think उसका मतलब ये नहीं हुआ कि आप हमारे घराने में या पुराने बुजुर्ग इस अंदाज से उसको हमेशा लेके चलते थे. Sometimes ऐसा भी होता है, जैसे बिहार में तीव्र मध्यम का इस्तेमाल नहीं होता था या बहुत कम होता था. So things evolve also over time. Like, but a lot of times it's just because somebody at some point did it doesn't mean we all use it as a script. मूड की बात होती है. एंड स्पेशली अगर आपके पास आप उस लेवल पे बैठे हैं जब आपने 200 बार एक राग को खूबसूरती से एकदम उस तरीके से प्रेजेंट कर चुके हैं, तब उसके बाद अगर आप थोड़ा सा लिबर्टी लेते हैं तो हक बनता है आपका, you know.
Actually, Guruji, Pandit Arvind Parikh puts it in very nice way that artists sometimes take the poetic liberty, but for taking poetic liberty, you have to be poet first. So very nicely put.
In this context, may I say something, Hidayat? If it was 8th of December 1980, and Khasab was playing at Shanmukhananda Hall. The whole hall was packed. You know, as you know, it's the biggest hall in Bombay, probably in Asia. It's about 3,500 people. And it was a morning concert, Sunday morning concert. I remember the date also very well because Khasab's concerts were very special to me throughout my life. Till, you know, it was like a festival for me. I used to make a new kurta each time Khasab performed and wear that kurta and go. So it was my own thing. It was my own trippiness. But I'm happy about it. So 1980, Khasab announced Vilas Khani Todi. This was a morning concert and he had just come from somewhere abroad and he was in a great mood. He played that alap, the rag, probably for two hours, a little less than 2 hours. In that, I'm just continuing with what you all were saying. After touching Pancham and coming back, he put a Tivra Madhyam there. And he treated like Tivra Madhyam like Miyaki Todi. The whole audience know that this is incorrect. And everybody was, wow. It was mesmerizing. Even Shahid Parvez
ji was incorrect in that moment. He
did it in such a way that it was his. If I play Vilas Khani, I will not do that. I will not dare to do that. Neither should anybody else do that. It was Vilayat Khasab who did it. Right. And he did it, and he had the whole audience by, you know, in his hand, because everyone was sort of doing ohs and ahs, and that was going on. So yeah. I'm just with Tivra Madhyam in Khamaj, with I want to share one another experience again at Rang Bhavan. This was, now by this time I was sold on him. So it was like 3-4 years after the Darbari concert. And one would never ever miss a Vilayat Khan concert in Bombay, ever. So I was hoping it was a night concert that he would play something like exotic, like Bihag or Bageshri or Yemen or something like that. And he comes on stage and announces, "Main aap logon ke samne Khamaj bajaunga," as the main rag. Khamaj was the main rag. I said, "Oh, what happened?" You know, I was like, I cannot tell you, Hidayat or Ram, I cannot tell you what he did to that Khamaj. It was like Khamaj was there and you became Khamaj. He played Alab Jod Jhala in Khamaj. And he was like, and the dirdir and the mean that he did in the dirdir. And then after doing all that wonderful Khamaj for 1 hour Alab, he started with Enayet Khasab's Gat, which starts from the 4th matra. Deda da, deda da da, deda da, 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 deda da, deda da, 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 da. That got. And the way he was doing that, da, da, oh God, I cannot tell you. The whole audience. I heard this story from my Guruji, Barmanji, that when Enayet Khan Sahib used to play in the Rajbadi on the Darbar of of
Tripura.
Tripura
Barmanji.
state, Agartala.
Tripura.
Barmanji told me this, that when Enayet Khan Sahab played, the whole audience swayed like this. They swayed like that to Enayet Khan Sahab's each stroke. It was so divine. What it could have been, I could imagine from. I still have it ringing in my ears what Vilayat Khan Sahab was doing that day. It was like just the gut, just this mukhra. And then, of course, he played Khamaj in Thumri style, he played Drupad style, he played Sadra, he played everything, Khayal style. It was his main rag. And then, of course, the Bhairavi. Whatever he did and what he decided to do, it was his. It was his. And he took the audience wherever he went along with him. That was such a great thing. And I have so many memories of so many concerts, and I remember the dates. I remember what he was wearing, where they were. Probably I could write a book on that.
You should actually.
Just one thing I'll tell you. We'll come to HMV a little in a little while. There was this concert at Dinanath Mangeshkar Hall. I had come from the other end of the country just to hear this concert. And my father had got me a ticket. I was all of 20, 21. In the front row, 100 rupee ticket was a very huge amount at that time. I said, oh my God. I told my father, you got 100 rupee ticket in the front row. He says, my son, I've flown you from Andhra Pradesh, one end to the other. What are you talking about 100 rupees? Khan Sahab announced Miyan Ki Todi. I'm in the front row looking at him like just a couple of feet away. I realized that day that he had announced Todi. He opened the whole rag in his tuning tarab. He was doing a vistar on the tarab while tuning the strings. He was creating the mood of Miyan Ki Todi even before he could play his first official stroke. That was his genius. I mean, Todi was coming from every corner of the hall.
सही में उन्होंने जो करके छोड़ दिया उसको लेके हम सारे लोग अपना अपना करियर बना दिया है,
Absolutely.
उनके 6 मंथ की विंडो ने उन्होंने जो सितार में करके उसको छोड़ के आगे बढ़ गए. हम लोग ने सीरियसली अपना सारी जिंदगी उसमें अपना करियर बना दिया है.
You know what, Hidayat, whatever he did or whatever he has recorded, I'm just going back to his thought process could have been. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Anjanda, please correct me if I'm wrong. He grew up on listening to Fayaz Khan Sahab, Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, Omkar Nath Thakur, Mushtaq Khan Sahab, Enayet Khan Sahab, of course, Wahid Khan Sahab, all these great masters. Zohra Bai Agrewali. I know these names because he asked me for those records for the HMV recording. Prabhuda Auntie's house. So he says, "Mujhe ye chahiye." Ginwa ke. Yeah. He went to town, went to moon about Nilambari, Omkar Nath Thakur Nilambari, and Kesar Bai's Gaur Malhar and Nat Bihag, and Fayaz Khan Sahab's Darbari, etc. What he must have absorbed from those 3 minutes. And he had heard them thousands of times. He knew the records by heart. He knew those 3-minute recordings by heart inside out. So each time he heard them, he drew new inspiration from them, just the way we are hearing him. And we find new avenues to enjoy his music, or anybody else's music for that matter. He kept going back to those masters whom he had heard in his younger days, childhood, and they had impacted him and his thought process in such a big way. So I want to just say that it's one thing to hear him in a concert. It's one thing to listen to his one recording. But what we live under is the impact of that concert or that record forever, throughout our lives. We want to keep going back to that concert. We want to, for example, so many people have sung Mana Na Kariye Gori. Kesar Bai has sung that in Gaur Malhar. So many people have sung. Or Lalita Gauri, for example. Okay, Preetama Saiya. Almost every Jaipur artist has sung that. People just keep going back to Kesar Bai's recording, 5-minute recording, because that is a world that has opened up a huge another world. So we keep going back to Vilayat Khan Sahab, Bhenge Mor Ghorer Chabi Niye Jaye, the Bhatiyali. Why does the whole world play that tune? Tagore composed 3,000 songs more. But Vilayat Khan Sahab immortalized it on sitar for Itawa Gharana students, and now even for santoor and flute and everyone else. Had he chosen another song, that would have become immortal. I mean, this is my my thought here, that the record, the Khamaj record, or the Manch Khamaj, as it's called, Mishra Khamaj, or the Pahadi. I'm talking about the 3-minute records, the right in the beginning, which are with Allah Rakha Khan Sahab, with Abbaji. Those are so wonderful. Those Pahadi and Bihag, those 3-minute pieces that he did in the early 50s. And in that, actually, you can see that the tabla accompaniment that Abbaji is giving is so much in, how shall I say, in a melodiousness with what Khan Sahab is playing. And Zakir Bhai carries that tradition big time. And I would say each and every tabla student of Abbaji's Gharana has that soft touch, which is very congenial to Itawa Gharana style of playing. Not that others are not important; they are all fabulous. But
Dada, sorry to interrupt you. We listen to any recording of Abba, be it Darwari with Pandit Shankar Ghoshji, be it Puriya with Pandit Kishan Maharajji, as you have mentioned, Suhas Ugrai Thumpidu with Samta Prasadji. Unfortunately, there is no published recording with Anokhelal Mishraji. There was a great mutual respect, and in the Jhala there were a lot of anecdotes between Anokhelal Mishraji and Khan Sahab. Then he has played with everyone, starting from Masjid Khan Sahab, Ambajan Tarakwa Sahab, Kante Maharaj, to their children, grandchildren. And whatever has been done, and it sounds like it is the ultimate.
Karamat Khan Sahab. He has played with everyone. He has played with everyone. I want to add one more thing here, which I'm sure everyone feels. His duets with Bismillah Khan Sahab. I cannot disregard this when we are discussing Vilayat Khan Sahab. We are talking about two gods of Shehnai and Sitar, and their album of that early 60s album, again with Shamsa Prasadji, with Gujri Todi, Bhairavi and Chaiti, which we have heard thousands of times. God knows how many times we've heard it. His tuning of, his understanding of Bismillah Khan Sahab's style and music and instrument is so perfect and so evident that he is playing his sitar in the Shehnai and passing it out to Bismillah Khan Sahab, and then Bismillah Khan.
I think we are running short of time. We'll quickly, this connection is dropped now. We'll quickly listen to the Suddhamaru recording. Bhaiya, we are running a little out of time. So
we've taken a lot of time.
Yeah. Yes. Once this happens every time when we talk about him. So nothing new. We will listen to. I think
Ramai, at the end of the day, as much as we're doing this for an audience and we're doing this everything, but honestly, it's so beautiful to connect with my family and hear all these stories. And I'm just happy we're doing this. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
Absolutely. We will play a little Suddhamaru, which Enayet Bhai has accompanied Abba. We will listen to that, and then we'll come back to Tushar Das recording experience with him, and probably with that we can conclude if no one has anything to say. What happened? Stop recording. One second. Anjanda, would you mind to mute yourself once, because I am not being able to do that, and there is a little clock ticking sound. Okay. Wow.
I apologize for this internet problem.
Not a problem. Briefly, we would like to listen to the recording, the anecdote, before anything else.
There are so many things.
We have to keep something for the next sessions as well, because we are
I can just tell you how it started and some of the things. Okay, when I joined HMV, I was interviewed by Dubey Saab, who was the then vice president, and he finished the interview. And then I said, "Sir, may I ask you a question?" He said, "Yes." He says, why haven't we recorded Vilayat Khan Sahab in so many years? So he says, oh, are you interested? Then you do it. In Urdu he said, अगर आपको शौक है तो आप कीजिए अपने जान की अमानत करके, जान बचा के. You take care of your health and your brains if you want to work with Vilayat Khan. But you want to do? I said, yes, I want to do. So I contacted Zilla. Zilla was a friend of mine. She is a very good friend of mine. I contacted her. They were, I think, in Dehradun at that time. Hidayat, don't run away, babu. I want you there. You're a part of the story. So Hidayat was very small at that time. He was 6-7 years old, and we used to call him Bebu. So very sweet as one could imagine. I wrote to Zilla. Zilla was handling every affair of Vilayat Khan Sahab, and she was my friend. So I wrote to her saying that I'm at HMV now and I would like to do the recording. So, okay, I was warned by Dubey Saab that, Vilayat Khan is a very difficult person to handle, and, you won't be able to handle him, and, it's the works. It takes a lot to, even talk to him and to convince him to do the recording. And unless you talk about the certain royalty amount, etc., which is due to him, he will not even come. He will not even agree. I said, sir, if the amount is due to him, it's his own recording. So why don't we have to, why do we have to hold it back? That's what it's his. He said, oh, you don't know. He's very difficult. I said, fine. I wrote to Zilla that I'm in HMV now and I would like to do Khan Saab's recording. And is it possible to do? Would you talk to him and say? She replied within maybe 6-7 days, yes, we are coming in after a few months, in 3-4 months, and we'll be at Prabhuda Auntie's house, and you can come and meet him and discuss the proposal with him, because he's happy to, he's sort of said that let him come and meet. So, okay, I was very thrilled. I was already a bhakta of Khan Saab. There's no denial to that. I was sold on every single phrase of his sitar and everything that he spoke about, etc. So I told Mr. Dubey that we have to go and see Vilayat Khan Sahab. He's now stationed in Juhu. He's staying at Prabhuda Auntie's house, who of course I knew from before. I had heard concerts at her house. He played Sanj Saravali. The first time that I heard was in Prabhuda Auntie's house in the garden. I didn't have to tell all that to my boss and his boss. My immediate boss was Sanjeev Kohli, who was Madan Mohan Sahab's son. So Madan Mohanji was also very close to Vilayat Khan Sahab. As you all would know, I just described the songs of Dekh Kabira Roya and Madhosh, where you can hear Vilayat Khan Sahab sitar. So when we went to Juhu, that's the bungalow, I was instructed in the car that, look, you don't say a word. You don't know Vilayat Khan. He's very difficult to talk to. So let me do the talking, Dubey Saab said. And Sanjeev Kohli, being the son of Madan Mohan Saab, already had a familiar sort of name to go by, because Vilayat Khan Saab was very close to Madanji. I said, no, I won't say a word. And I always seen Vilayat Khan Sahab, being surrounded by so many people and who were enamored by him. Always seen him on stage also with about 25 people sitting behind, and there was Arvind Parikh ji, and there was Imrat Khan Sahab, and there were a lot of people around him. He was not really alone. So one was completely in awe of him. There is no question about that. But I had met him at Prabhuda Auntie's concert, and he knew me as Barman Sahab's disciple. That was 2 years back. 2 years before I went to meet him. Barmanji he had very high regards for his elder Guru Bhai, Barmanji. So when the car reached there, the Saab said, you don't speak anything, we are carrying, he will talk about the check right away. Remember, you don't say anything.
Tushar, I think we need to shorten the story because,
Are we running out of time? All right, we'll shorten the story.
Yeah.
No, but I have to tell you this. Otherwise, there's no fun. I have to imitate what he said and how it was. All right.
Let's come to Khan Sahab.
No, this was very important from the viewpoint of his connection with a student of his gharana. I'm talking about, it's not about me. It's about his viewpoint of who is he talking to. He was expecting that the company would come, blah, blah.
I think
we've lost Tushar Bhai again. Let's keep that story for the
next episode.
Next episode. Again, it's so lovely to remember and so lovely to connect with everyone, and really all of us are doing our part as a family, because we are a family, and taking forward this beautiful tradition and this work of that Abba has sort of blessed us with. I really pray for all of us, myself included, that we are able to sort of go on this path and do some justice to the Talim and the legacy that he's left for us to walk on. So thank you all so much. As again, it was a great pleasure, and Ram Bhai, thank you so much for taking the initiative, and really, honestly, you're the one person who does all the hard work to make these things possible. So thank you so much for that. And look forward to connecting again soon.
The inspiration is here, and also all of you. I connect with you all, Roopa ji, you, Anjanda, lately with Anjanda, and sometimes with Enayet Bhai and Tushar also. All of you keep me motivating to do this, to carry this activity forward, and hopefully it will continue, and we will have all of your love and support. Before we conclude, Anjanda, if you could say something, or Roopa ji, if you want to say something, Enayet Bhai, if you want to say something, then we will listen. Then we will play the Sindh Bhairavi as we decided.
Thank you, Ram Bhai. This was really nice, actually. It was nice to talk to him. Brought back a lot of memories, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really inspiring. Thank you so much for this. Really enjoyed hearing everybody.
Thank you so much. Anjanda?
You're muted.
Muted.
Okay, let me unmute him.
Yeah.
It was really nice to have this session, and also we have known many unknown facts about concepts, and that's it.
Dada, you were back.
Let me complete the story. In 2 minutes, I'll complete. Okay? Sorry. I think I did a little elaboration. Vistar kiya maine. I will not do the Vistar. Anyway, when we reached...
3.5 minute ka recording. 3.5 minute ka recording.
All right. Okay. So when we reached, when I was told, the background was that you don't speak a word. Okay, we will speak. You don't say anything. I said, no, I will not. I was just 22 years old. When we entered the room, Prabhuda Auntie's house, Khan Sahab says, "Aiye Tushar Babu," and he made me sit on the bed with him while the other two sat on the chair. All right, and then he turns to me. He exchanged adab and all that. He finished. He says, "Tell me in Urdu, asked me कि तो फिर बताइए मुझे क्या करना है? What is it that I'm supposed to do? What do you want me to? What do you want to record?" Straight to the point. No mention of check, nothing. And I said, "Khan Sahab, we want to do your recording." And he says, "I have only one condition." So Dubey Sahab looks at me saying, "See, didn't I tell you?" Khan Sahab says, I said, "Ji Khan Sahab, please say." "Oh, I'll record in the night." That's all he said. And there was no mention of money, no mention of check, nothing. And Zilla was handling everything. So he says, "You coordinate with my daughter. She's doing everything. But come tomorrow with all these records, list of records against my royalty." That included Fayaz Khan Sahab, Omkarnath Thakur, Kesar Bhai, Mushtaq Khan Sahab, Rajab Ali Khan Sahab, Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, etc. He named his favorites. Recording, also a lot of glitches happened, which we'll keep for some other time. But Khan Sahab was unruffled. He played Gauti. Then we recorded for several days. He played Gauti, he played Bihag, he played Gaud Malhar just for me. That was just him and me. He played Ragmala in Bahar. He played. He was amazing. I mean, what can I say?
That
And
was
Bebu, I got chocolates for Hidayat, who was small boy, and he just went to sleep there because the recordings were in the night. So I don't. But everybody, the whole family was there. There was Yaman, Zilla, Lisa ji was there, Prabhuda auntie was there, and we would start at 10 in the night. I would go in my own car to pick him up. The company car would be following me, and the rest would come there. And Khasa was Khasa. So
I
many
think
things happened in this video.
on tabla you had Pandit Kumar Bose ji. I think that
That
published recording on
that
Gaudi.
was for the second day. First day
Okay.
we had Nizamuddin Khan Sahab.
Nizamuddin.
And Kumar Bose, I called for the second or the third session because Khan Sahab wanted it that day. Khan Sahab named the artist, so I suggested a couple, but Khan Sahab was, to say the least, Hidayat, coming back to the fact that I was told that he's so, temperamental and mood. Nothing. He was so affectionate to me. He gave so much respect to like how Rupaji said, like a nobody, like me, nobody. I was nobody. But that respect came. I know that because I was Barmanji's disciple. Ghar ka shagird hai. He's doing his job. He is from our family. He gave me that respect, and I was on top of the world. so this was a little story. Details I will skip right now.
Yeah, we will have other episodes on how you captured the picture, the famous picture photo which is there in the Bahar recording. All those things we will
Yes,
have
the
other
photo
episodes.
session.
All the
The
episodes
photo
will have.
session, what happened at the recording, what food we was served, and how I would carry the chai myself, tea, and not let even the peons touch it. I'm going to give it.
We will have next episodes on that. With this sweet note, we will conclude this
I
session.
thank everybody, in
Sindhu
the audience too, and Ram, Hidayat, Enayet Bhai, Anjanda, Rupaji, everybody, and all the audiences who are listening to me. And sorry if I went a little more into the Vistar, but then we are talking about Khan Sahab, who's the king of Vistar. So little bit Vistar is allowed, poetic license, I guess. We wish, collectively, I would say, we wish Vilayat Khan Sahab a very happy birthday wherever he is. He's definitely in our hearts all the time. And, he's casting his spell, his magic every second, every time we hear his recording. And even when we are not hearing his recording, when we pick up our sitar or wear our mizrab, he's with us. I want to say that for myself.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you very much.